old men do not fight wars. This belief that a geriatric peace is now descending upon the world is one of the great justifications of the population control movement. These three justifications, geopolitical stability, environmentalism, and feminism, lead most scholars and policymakers to consider population programs to be the best investment the international community can make in the developing world. But, at least regarding geopolitics, they are wrong. The fruits of population control, global fertility decline, followed by population aging and population decline itself, will bring not peace and stability, but instead economic stagnation and a new age of international uncertainty. And this will be an age of international uncertainty in which many of the actors are armed with nuclear weapons or strive to be armed with nuclear weapons. We are far enough along this demographic path to be able to make some assertions. What do we know? We are in what the demographers have labeled the age of lowest low fertility. Over half the nations on Earth are experiencing below replacement rate fertility. There is no reason to believe that this trend will end, and very good reason to believe that the decline will continue, even accelerate. What else do we know? This new world is an older world. By 2050, there will be about 2 billion elderly people across the globe. This new world is also predominantly a developing world. Although fertility is declining in the developing world, this decline is newer than what has already taken place for decades in the developed world. Therefore, the global share of the population moves further south every year. Europe, especially, loses a bit more of its share every year. So this is a world of differential or relative fertility decline. While the fertility of Palestinian women has been declining, as would be expected, they still have twice the number of children as Israeli women. Every year, therefore, Israel grows a bit more outnumbered, its geopolitical options a bit more constrained. This new world is also a world of migration. For the rich nations of the West, the easiest solution to fertility decline has been to replace the native-born workers who were never born with immigrants. This new world is also becoming a male world. The deadly combination of ultrasound technology and the spread of legal, accessible abortion has created a worldwide epidemic of sex-selective abortions. In some regions of Asia, there are 130 boys born for every 100 girls. It would be fantastic, in my view, to claim that this worldwide phenomenon of declining, aging, moving, and increasingly male populations will not bring instability to world affairs. Population is the wellspring of economic, political, and military power. Historically unprecedented shifts in population are bound to bring with them profound shifts in the global balance of power. I'd like to make a couple of predictions. First, the developing world will grow old before it grows rich. The developing world has a small window of time called a demographic dividend, in which the ratio of working people to dependents is favorable to development. But it is unlikely that many of these countries will achieve enough genuine reform in order to take advantage of this demographic dividend. It is much more likely that many nations will fail, leaving their newly retired cohorts with neither the new institutional safeguards nor the traditional relief of old age, which is large numbers of grown children. These failed states will not be a source of international stability. Also, globalization cannot compensate indefinitely for global fertility decline. The world will run out of the vibrancy of youthful markets, the large numbers of consumers and producers, as well as the more intangible but essential entrepreneurial spirit of the young. As one market after another begins to contract and grow weary, whole regions will fall into a state of fatigue, now experienced in places like Japan. Economic stagnation is also not a source of global stability. Third, this new age will not be a dawn of a geriatric peace. It may be true that as populations age, there might not be money for guns or stomachs for casualties, but nations are aging at different rates. In fact, this uneven demographic decline might serve as a catalyst for war, one's own demographic weakness as an incentive to act before it's too late, like Serbia in the 1990s, or the demographic weakness of one's enemies as a provocation to act. Let me indulge in a couple more specific predictions. Let's start with China. China is a good illustration of the perils of demographic decline. China's demographic dividend, its demographic window, will slam shut. My time's up. Let me conclude by saying much depends upon the American population and demographic exceptionalism, and whether or not American military power will remain robust enough to cover for the demographic decline of the developed world. The next few decades will give us the answers to all of these questions, whether we like those answers or not. Thank you very much.